Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we'll be reviewing a new movie that just came out this year called...
Actually, it came out in February.
Yes. Well, as I said, came out this year. So it's called The Strays. And so you guys know, don't confuse this with the other Stray movie that just came out too.
You're confusing. There is another movie coming out this year. It doesn't get released till June.
Yes.
Now,
Don't
the other one's a comedy. This is not a comedy. This is a horror film we're reviewing.
Yeah, a horror thriller,
Yes.
I think is the best word to describe this one.
The genre is a horror film. I don't think it's a horror film.
I think
it's more like a suspense drama thriller type stuff. But
Yeah.
they reckon it's a horror film. So be it.
Well, there's only 2 gory bits, but the rest of it was all shrouded in mystery and a little bit of, drama.
Yeah. Now the best part is it's brand new. Yeah. How fresh can you get it? Okay. What we got here is produced by Valentina Brazzini, Tristan Gallagher, and Rob Watson. Directed by Nathaniel Martello White. That was his directorial debut. And he also wrote the screenplay for this. Now, budget not known, and this was released on Netflix on the 22nd of February of this year. So obviously there's no box office involved. Can't say too much about it. There's not a lot to say on this movie because we can't find any details. So what we're going to do, we're going to tell the story and say, gee, it's really, really, really good and whatever, and then pick it apart a little bit, and like we normally do, and tell you how to get it. But as far as I can see at the moment, it hasn't reached eBay or Amazon as yet, but it is on Netflix. So if it's on Netflix and you're a Netflix person, it should be there.
Right.
I don't know if it's gone to any other streaming sites or anything, but it will be on Netflix. There you go.
So anyway, as I said before, this is a thriller, and it has a little bit of mystery involved here and there. It's not over the top horror.
Well, I don't. Well, I don't know why it falls into a horror genre.
I think
it is. It is.
I think it's either the director who says it's a horror, and
it's not. That's not that horrible.
Or whoever does this stuff on Wikipedia or IMDb.
This is the genre it falls into. That's it. So I don't know why.
I don't know why either. There was only 2 deaths, and the rest of the time it's all mystery.
Yeah, so it's just stalk. It looks like he's being stalked, or he's having mental breakdowns. Or it doesn't look like a horror movie to me. But anyway, irrespectively, it's a goodish movie, so we thought, well, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
The genre falls into the category, even though we don't think it's the right category.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a psychiatrical horror or thriller.
Yeah.
Like they often do when it's playing a trick on your mind in the sort of sense. But it goes a bit deeper than that. So anyway, Mike, go on with what were you going to say?
I don't know. No. What were you saying? I lost my train of thought there for a moment.
Who stars in it is a big question. Now we've reached the point of no budget and no box office.
Yeah, well,
so we may as well move on.
I got a bit confused. What am I going to do next? Okay, here we go. And I am not quite sure of the right way to pronounce this lady's name. So I will spell it for you in a moment. The lead lady is Ashley Madeke, Madekwe. She plays a lady called Neve, but she's also known as Cheryl in a previous existence. Justin Salinger plays her current husband, Ian. Samuel Small plays Sebastian, her current son. The reason why I'm saying current, there's a reason for it. Maria Almeida plays Mary, her current daughter. Now, there's 2 other people. Bucky Backray plays Abigail, or Dione, because he's using 2 names. Plays her previous daughter from a previous marriage. And Jordan Miri plays Marvin, or Carl, playing her son from a previous marriage. There you go. I won't mention anybody else there because these are the main people.
Yes, and I don't have any very much facts on this. I tried to look up facts for this movie, And all I keeps referring me to the other movie that has not been released yet.
Which is a comedy, which we don't want to see.
Which we don't want to discuss.
The Dogs and Cats, something rather.
Yes, exactly. So this has nothing to do with that. So anyway, this movie...
Yeah, well, you want to tell the story?
Might as well. We open on a lady at a rundown little, home of sorts. She's calling her sister, telling them about her recent bad luck at her job and stuff like that, and wishes to have more and stuff.
She's a cuddle lady, and she's complaining about racial discrimination and there's financial difficulties. And she's having a moment with her sister, like Sarah said. Yeah,
she's in a rundown area, and then one day she writes a note on the fridge that says, "I'm going for my hair, going to the hairdressers.
See you later." And she never came back. Now,
yes. Then we flash forward to say, I don't know how many years.
Now, before we at this point in time in the movie, we don't know whether she is married or had a partner. I believe had a partner, obviously, because he's left a message for her. Don't know if there's any kids involved. We have absolutely no idea what's going on in that part of her life, right?
Yeah, we only know she gets a lot of messages, and she has a lot of bill notices telling her...
past due bills and
stuff. Yeah, like
her and her hubby or partner haven't got a lot of money.
Whatever, the usual dues that you have to pay eventually.
Electricity, rates, rent,
the usual
whatever.
Stuff.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Gas.
Yeah,
I got gas.
Anyway, so the story flashes to several years later. It doesn't really give you a date yet.
It's so many years later.
Yeah,
that's it.
We do learn that it was 16 years.
We're about 16 years.
Later.
16, 17 years later. Yeah.
Yes, and she's now living in a suburban area with
amongst these. I won't be politically correct here, but I'll say she is a. I can't call her Afro-American because in England she's a colour lady living in a white neighbourhood. I know it's not politically correct to call it that.
No.
But she's living in a biracial relationship and living in a white community.
She's now sporting different types of wigs to disguise herself as, try to make her look like she's got a bit of a different
nationality.
Yeah, she's described in this movie as a bit of a bigot against her own race.
Yeah, she hates anything to do with her coloured heritage. How's that?
Yeah, I never thought that would be possible, but there are some people out there who are like that.
She's all to her it's just heartache and problems and everything else. So
difficulties,
yeah. So. Didn't want to go back there, didn't want to be there, didn't want to be associated with it. So, she's just, hey, I am succeeding in a white man's world. Pardon the politically incorrectness.
She's now married to a man named Ian.
He's a very nice man.
Yeah, nice guy. And they have two children. One is named Mary and the other one is called Sebastian.
Yeah, and they're in high school.
Yeah, and they're both attending the same school that she's one of the teachers there.
Deputy headmistress, I think she is. Yeah.
So... Anyway, life is pretty good, sweet. She's got everything she wants: nice money and position, and the children. Nice family, social connections, if that's the word. Respect.
All these things
that
she wanted.
Stuff. But then things start falling apart. Eventually, she starts seeing some weird Afro whatever.
Well, just colour people. You can't be Afro-American.
I can't really, because then we're...
Yeah, no, you can't use Afro-Americans in England, okay?
Anyway, she sees these people, and they even scribble a bunch of doodles on one of her rear mirrors, would you say?
On a rear vision mirror, the wing mirror on a car door? Yeah,
two dark black stick figures.
Yeah.
Drawn in either pencil, marker,
whatever.
I think.
She rubbed it off, so it couldn't have been too bad. Yeah.
It may not be. Anyway, by the sounds of it, she's being stalked.
Yeah, that's what we think. So we think she's either being stalked or she's delusional. We're not quite sure at this point in time, are we?
Yes.
Yeah, carry on.
She then, one of the people there has a job as a janitor at her school. I think his name is Marvin.
He had two names.
Well, his current name is Marvin, I think it was.
His real name's his real name's Carl, but he's changed his name to Marvin, so no one will know who he is.
Yeah, let's just jump ahead, okay? Anyway, so Marvin is befriending Sebastian, and he even shares a joint with him, or in the woods, and the mother gets annoyed, and she notices her daughter doing some secretly things.
Some weirdy stuff.
Yes, she also saw her daughter come home one time wearing braids in her hair.
Yeah, the same way. I don't like saying Afro-Americans and coloured people.
Yeah, that's the problem with this movie, because
I can't say it any other way.
If this was done in America, I could probably then say Afro-American, but this is done in England. It makes it difficult to talk about.
Her hair's done the same way a South African person would do the hair with the braids, not the type braids going down the back and looking really nice. Yeah, like that. And the mother didn't like that because she's anti anything to do with her heritage. So
considering she actually dyes her daughter's hair blonde, which kind of explains a little bit more about her backstory a bit more. She just doesn't like anything connected to that thing, as Mike says. You know, she doesn't want any connection, her kids connected to it. So I think she's trying to manipulate that side to her life as much as possible, even at the attempt at trying to control her children. Yeah,
she's not micromanaging. I suppose micromanaging her family. Well, maybe not so much the husband, but the kids. She control them to her way of thinking, the way she wants things to be, and a little bit of helicopter management as well.
That's it, Mike. So anyway, she's organising this gala at her home.
It's a fundraiser?
A fundraiser for something.
Yeah.
And both Carl and his sister arrive, who's named Abigail, I think her name's, and she gets into their faces, telling them, "What are you doing here?" all that stuff, and they pretty much spit out that they're her kids. This reminds me a little bit of the Flowers in the Attic a little bit. In that movie, we find out that the mother hides her kids away, and then when she gets remarried and leaves them, she sort of doesn't want any connection to them anymore.
That's her past life. Yeah.
Anyway, this reminds me of that. So then we cut to the kids' side of the story. Marvin and his sister Abigail, who come to that part of England,
that town, whatever.
Yeah. They book themselves into a hotel, a very expensive one, it seems. And they tell the guy, the owner, they're staying there for the next week or so.
For a week, yeah.
They're there, I guess, on a mission of sorts to find their mother, I guess, and try to confront her and get some answers of why she up and left. Who knows how they knew about this? Mike and I were discussing it, how she was able to up and leave and change her identity.
Well, we'll talk about it at the end of the movie.
Yes. Anyway, so whatever way they did it, they may have gone to the same people to ask about where to go to find their mother. No doubt she may have not changed too much, except for her hairstyles, which
she would have changed the name.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm running how to found it. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, so they come there and they start moving things around by him applying for a janitor's job at her school. Abigail starts working as a secretary for Ian. Yeah. He mentions this in passing to his wife. "Oh, I hired this new secretary, blah, 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 blah. Nice girl, blah, blah. She reminds me of you, blah, 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 blah." sort of thing.
That should have been a giveaway, hey?
Oh, yeah. It was a giveaway. Yes. Anyway, so the kids, we do see this stuff, the things that click in place. We see Sebastian befriending Kyle, and we see Abigail befriending Mary.
Yeah.
And we see them hanging around, and even Kyle supporting Sebastian when he's playing basketball. And they even at one point get even on a boy who's a bully.
I'm not quite sure.
I think he was killed, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
Because
well, it doesn't say he was killed. He was brutally attacked. I don't know whether he died or not.
Well, anyway, he was suffocated by a bag, and then during a Sebastian drug state, he was taking something, I don't know what, and he kind of threw the basketball into his face.
Or rammed it into his face, but I don't. Yeah, that wouldn't have hurt him.
It could have damaged his nose, and I think I heard somewhere if you hit someone the wrong way
you could break the nose.
You could break their nose, and that would send a message to the brain, killing yourself.
No, it's not a message. If I hit you in the nose,
yes,
an uppercut underneath your nose,
I heard
right,
that. Yeah.
or punched you up there, the bone can actually break off and go upwards and inwards into your brain and take your brain out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So fun.
I don't know if this gets mentioned on the news. I don't know. Maybe we don't pay attention. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Mary and Abigail, they actually hang at the hotel and drink non-stop and kind of discuss things about
families and stuff. Without giving too much away.
Of course, Abigail, she kind of nearly blows it at this point because I think she's got the same things that her mother has. She's kind of feeling a little bit, scared about revealing this stuff, and at the same time feels a little jealous of Mary's upbringing too.
Because she had all the things she didn't.
Yeah, I think that both Abigail and her mother had the same wishes, that they wished for more.
More to break away from what they had and to be able to go forward in society.
But of course, Abigail doesn't feel biased against her nationality too much.
No, not as much, no.
No. So eventually she scares Mary away, and her brother approaches her, and she tells him that she broke down and accidentally spilled a little bit of whatever. But she was invited to the gala, as it turns out, by Mary. So she puts on her yellow dress, and they head to the gala. And there we have that whole confronting thing with the
which you did early on, yeah.
And then we go back to the mother's side of the story, where she's confronted by Ian and her other kids about her backstory. And she tells them that 16 years ago she was married to another man, and she left that man, and she left her 2 other children with her sister, whom they didn't like, and she didn't like them, and she kind of left them too. And so they had to live on their own for gosh knows how long, and who else they may have been looked after, I don't know by whom.
Yeah, so we don't know what sort of life they had, whether they were brutalised or whatever, sexually molested. We don't know. There's no backstory of them, which is a bit of a shame because that would have actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, give some reason behind their attitude.
But at this point in time in this movie, we don't really know if we should side with her anymore because she has been lying to everyone.
She ran away from her kids, lied to her husband, didn't tell him about her past life, and then she started doing things behind his back.
So the husband reasons that they can work this out, and the kids decide to take a moment to readjust the situation.
And give Mum a bit of a chance to vindicate herself, yes.
She then eventually meets up with her kids, Abigail and
original kids.
And they talk, and she then gives them £20,000 each.
20,000. I'm not quite sure £20,000. And they gave 10,000 each, or they got 20,000 each. I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, so she gives them the money, saying this will get you back on your feet, whatever.
Yeah, help you a little bit.
And
then we can when things settle down a bit, then we can go forward with our relationship or something.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
But I think the kids think that it's more like she's buying them off, telling them not to go away and don't bother me or my life or my kids ever again. That feels like that sort of thing. Anyway, so she doesn't sound like she's very sincere about this. She feels like she's not. She just says we'll try to work this out and stuff like that. And I don't think it's a very logical thing. She could have said, let's meet halfway, try to get to know each other, meet.
I think she's implying that, but no one believed her because she's been lying so much. Yeah, the old kid who cried wolf, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so, of course, the husband is willing to forgive her, of course, and as later that night, or later, sometimes nights later, we see Kyle and Abigail.
Carl
and Abigail arriving at their house, and they're dressed in black, and Abigail is sporting a nice party hat, which means it's her birthday.
But this is late at night, and everybody's in bed,
sleeping, and then we see
they break into the house.
Yeah, they break into the house and start setting off the water, turning on the taps in the bathrooms and everywhere
to overflow
and
the water.
Then
don't know why.
Carl takes everyone's mobile phones, the kids, her hubby, and hers,
all the ones you can
and
find.
Put them in the sink
in the kitchen,
and the chips would fry. Obviously,
he poured water over them in the sink and left the water running, so that would overflow onto the floor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So after a few minutes, everyone's walking around, puddles of water on the floor.
Yeah, they downstairs. Carl's playing some television set.
Yeah, watching someone telly
really loudly,
loud enough so it'll wake the people up upstairs.
Yeah. They come down eventually, and then they go on about how it's Abigail's birthday and it's time to wish her a happy birthday, all that stuff. And
let's get some munchies in.
Yes.
Uber Eats, if you will. Yes.
Yeah, Abigail wants to also play a bit of Scrabble, which she does, and the mother plays along. A little bit.
But
all the time through that movie scene, we don't see. She doesn't turn off any of the taps, not once, not that I'm aware of. Okay.
No. Yeah.
The place gets filled up with water as much as...
we had colour-inks of water before. Actually, the sunken lounge room. That's why I was filling up like a pool,
Yeah. Anyway, they play Scrabble, and we do get shaken by their behaviour. And then Carl takes Ian into his sport area and loads up
he had a home gym.
Yeah, he has a home gym, and he starts loading these heavy weights onto his.
Yeah. How you bench press, lay down your back, and you put you take the weights and see how much you can take.
Yeah.
They kept loading weights onto him and more and more until
he couldn't handle it anymore.
And the bar came down and either hit him in the head and broke his skull or hit him in the throat and broke his neck.
Yeah.
No, we don't know.
Yeah. And long before this, Ian found out that from the two kids that she was giving them 2 checks to keep them quiet. And he was annoyed by this and says, I want a divorce because you just lied to me again, all that stuff. And she didn't tell him about the checks or anything like that. I guess he was hoping for them to kind of meet halfway and try to do something, with the kids. I don't know why he had to die in this scene, because he was on board with accepting them into their family to an extent.
Yeah, he's trying to do the right thing. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Anyway, soon enough, the Uber driver arrives. He's a motorcyclist, I guess. And she gets the Chinese, and she goes upstairs to get the money.
She says, I'm going to give him a tip, so she went upstairs.
Yeah, she's all calm and collected, or to an extent. And we think maybe she may have an ace up her sleeve, try to save her family or something like that.
Maybe give a note to the guy on the bike. Yeah.
But then again, anyway, it doesn't matter. So she heads out the door to pay the man, and then Carl appears before all four, or Sebastian, Mary, and Abigail, and he asks where their mum is. And then we hear in the background
the motorbike going. She says she got a lift on the back of the Uber Eats guy's bike. So
and
obviously she's done a runner.
Yeah, and all 4 kids are
stand
there surprised and shocked that she's pulled a runner on them. Then we cut to the credits.
So what did it say? She left her first 2 kids, and now she left her new kids.
Yes.
So they're just stand there in the flooding lounge room.
It's unlikely that she was going to come and save her new kids. It doesn't seem like a lot.
We thought she was going to do the right thing, but no.
It seems that Abigail prefers her her character is more happy with status and social climbing, and she doesn't care about. I don't think she cares about family too much. I mean, if it's any benefits behind it, then she probably would
take some.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't think she cares much about what becomes of her children in the end. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen next in this next scene.
You said Abigail.
What? I didn't say Abigail.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyway, at this point, I don't think she cares about her children, and I don't know if later on the kids will continue chasing her, or whether Sebastian and Mary will team up with the other kids to hunt her down, because they
find the next family.
Although I don't know how they would team up with them, considering Kyle just killed their father. I don't think they could. I could imagine them teaming up with them because they just killed the kid's parent.
Well, they could have actually said it was an accident. And they could have got. See, those two, that boy and girl, could possibly end up inheriting all of his money, his estate, everything else. So they could be well off, which means they can give Carl and Abigail a few bucks, maybe. Yeah. And they might become friends. Well, they were becoming friends.
They were becoming friends.
Yeah.
But I think they got spooked by the fact of the home invasion stuff.
Yeah, but they had a reason for it. Now, okay, fade to black, credits, yada, yada, yada. Okay.
Yeah, Mike, let's discuss what we were discussing before. Like, the fact that the mother, she left her home and then she changed her identity and you were saying something interesting before.
Now, I'm not knocking the screenplay or anything else, right? However, this lady, the original person who Neve was, what's her name again?
Yeah.
When she was known as Cheryl, when she left there, she left a house, flat, whatever, and there's unpaid bills there at the place. So I would presume she left there with the clothes on her back and not a lot of money. Within probably 12 months, he's in a relationship with a white guy, pardon the political incorrectness, and social climbing. Now, I don't know where she got her money from. I don't know where she got her training to be the deputy head mistress. There's just a lot of stuff in the backstories which were just omitted, just sort of glossed over. So how would she, a coloured lady living in London, make it with a white guy who's obviously well off, and have a family and be socially accepted in a nice job in a nice neighbourhood? There's a few things which just could have been added to the storyline somewhere. It sort of missed something. So 15 years later, well, that doesn't really help.
Yeah, I mean, unless she got fake documents to...
Yeah, she would, and she's changed her name. So that costs money to go to the government agency to say, I want to change my name by deed poll or whatever. You got to pay for that.
Unless you went to a shady person who
you have
may
to pay
do that.
for that.
Oh, yeah.
Because if she has to get a tax file number, and when she goes to get a job at the high school or whatever it was, they would have done credit checks on her and other checks or police checks to find out whether she was got any police records probably and other good groovy things. They would have done all these sort of checks on her to make sure she wasn't lying.
True.
So, she had references. Where did the references come from? They checked the references. It's just very complicated. It was... there was a little bit missing in that story, which could have been just say 30 seconds or a minute added to the film just to cover that sort of back part of the story.
But I guess that's where the mystery comes from. Because the mother remains a mystery. Her whole life, after she left the house 20 years ago, was a mystery. And the rest of the time... people wonder why in real life people would just go out and walk out of their old life and then next minute they're living a new life with someone else.
Yeah, and it's just so radically different. So, I mean, it could have been covered just a little bit.
Yeah. Mikey, didn't you tell me before that people would naturally do this sort of thing in real life? Walk out on their old life
I've known... I'm not getting into it and can't mention names, but I've known a lady who left her family He left the kids with the husband, and she walked out because she couldn't stay there anymore due to mental cruelty and other good groovy things like that, and she had to make her own life. And then during that period of time, she got her life back together again a bit, but the husband had the chance to poison the kids' minds against the mother, saying she's not a very good mother, she walked out on your children, yada, yada, yada. And he didn't say, oh, it's a nasty dude, and forced her out. So, so the kids got poisoned in the mind. So,
Yeah.
it is hard. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, there was also mention in that scene I mentioned between her and her old kids. They said how she, aside from her saying that her husband was a bit of abusive and all that, she was also labelled a little bit of abuser too in her own.
Well, see, we don't know.
We don't know enough about.
We didn't see any interaction or anything.
But we do see even though in that scene there's an explanation why she did it. But I don't really. I think her behaviour should be, examined when I think about that scene.
Probably.
When her son came back, Sebastian came back late from basketball practice or whatever, she went out.
She went ballistic.
She went ballistic, hitting him and stuff like that.
But her husband was giving the cross-examining too, because he's supposed to come home from school and he was hours late.
Yeah.
And they were worried about him. He could have been in hospital. He could have been dead, as a good parent would be concerned, but they went a bit too much. Yes.
Yeah. I do wonder, I've been trying to find any likely... I know this movie came out in February, and I can't find any... it says that there... in the Rotten Tomato, that the amount of reviews that
23 reviews Rotten Tomatoes and approval rating of 52%.
Yeah, I don't know what the reviews would have been like, what their reactions to this movie would be like, because
52. So it's fair. It's a fair. The point is, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to be really blunt here.
Yeah.
If this has been advertised as a horror movie and labelled a horror movie, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a thriller.
Yeah.
Maybe. A suspense thriller, maybe. A psychological thriller, maybe. I can't see any horror in it. So that's probably why the ratings are down a little bit through Rotten Tomatoes, because it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
What part would be horrible?
Good point.
Nothing.
I do wish that they could just take the time to re-examine the script and get the genre right. I mean, if you use the wrong genre, you could get into...
people are going to watch the movie thinking it's going to be something it's not.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say it was a crappy movie or something. Well, because they were expecting to see something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Oh, like those other movies where we hear about where they say, oh, it's a comedy horror or horror comedy.
And you go there and there's hardly any comedy in it, or there's hardly any horror in it, but a little bit of a hint here and there. But it's you've got to get the balance right and let people know what they're paying their good money to see.
Yeah, when I looked at that Winnie Pooh horror movie, it didn't come off as comedy related. It looked more like pretty much a thriller horror thing.
I mean, the fact that it was Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, that's probably the comedy thing. Oh, they've grown up and started to get their own back on Christopher Robin. But it's I didn't see any comedy in there.
No, it seems more
just a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was expecting Winnie the Pooh to say a line like, "Time to say your prayers, Christopher Robin," but he never even said that.
Well, bear in mind, Mike, remember what they said at the beginning? They stopped talking.
And okay, how come Winnie the Pooh said at the end, "You left me"?
Well, it was a good comeback line, and it's a lot better than your line.
Well, say your prayers.
Yeah, that sounds too lame.
Well, these speaks. Say your prayers, Christopher Robin. It was in the books, Yeah, it was in the Winnie the Pooh books.
No, not really.
It was.
Anyway, it doesn't matter at this point. So I do question whether different nationalities would question this movie as being a bit harsh on them. I did question that.
What do you mean?
Well, the fact that this is saying telling a story about a woman who's bigoted against her own culture. And I know there's people like that out there, and I do wonder whether or not people will be from that nationality will get a little bit upset about this kind of film.
No, not. Look, you're missing something, and you one of your tender years. I'll explain something. A lot of people you think are really just nice people and blah blah. Well, yeah, a lot of people leave their cultures behind sometimes because they don't like it.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, the point is, if you grew up in, like, let's say, for argument's sake, I'll just use a nondescript European country, which was poor and nobody liked you, and the rest of the world thought you were a bunch of dickheads and whatever, and you left there. The first thing you're going to do is say, "I'm not from that country."
I see.
Aren't you? When my grandfather came out from Italy many years ago, back in the almost 100 years ago, probably over 100 years ago. My mother was born in Italy, and then her brothers were born in Australia, and then when they got old enough, the Second World War came along, and because they were Italian, my grandfather was not allowed to work in Australia because he worked in the food industry, but his two sons said, "Oh, we're not Italian, we're Austrian or Swiss or something or other," and they were able to get work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. One person at a shops one time when I was walking down, well, I won't go into details where it was. I was talking to someone and they said, you're speaking in an American accent. As you guys well know, you may have heard me speak in an American accent.
He does have a slight
and
accent.
When I said to them, yeah, I do, and stuff, they go on their racket about America. They were, I think, very bigoted about it, and they go on about how Canada is lovely and America is rubbish and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's quite funny, you know.
This person went on for a complete... I don't know how long, but it felt like an hours.
And this person probably hasn't been to Canada or America.
Yeah, she says, just tell people you got the accent from Canada. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I just don't think.
She got it from television.
But I didn't like how she was taking this conversation.
Anyway,
even from a stranger, I didn't like it very much.
Anyway,
I just don't like it when people.
Okay.
I just don't like it when. Look, this sort of thing does happen regularly.
Yeah, but
that's
got nothing to do with
and
what
it
we're
is
talking
kind of sad that about certain cultures would naturally want to do that.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way it goes. If people deny their culture or their heritage for whatever reason, given the right reasons. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, let's move on from this.
I am not. I am probably just the same because I don't really like certain parts of my thing too.
What bits?
Well, I have certain things inside that tell me differently. Like I wish to change things about myself, but I can't change them because they're part of me, and it's kind of sad I cannot be a different person. And
I wish you was sometimes.
But if I didn't become a different person, maybe it would make me a better person in other people's eyes and
would
stuff.
You want to be the same as everybody else?
I don't know. Maybe I like that, but I would like it if I could get a chance to be a little bit, to an extent, like everyone else. I mean, a little bit, not all of it. I mean, all of it, just some parts of myself. Anyway, that's about it. So, should we rate this now?
Okay. Now, this is one of those ones which I like doing as a separate individual because this guy here, he wrote it.
Okay.
He directed, first time direction. And considering he is probably the controlling person in this, but the producers probably put the money up, and they'll happily probably go on his own merry way with it, I think he's done a reasonably good film for a first time out. Okay, I'm not saying it's perfect. Okay, like I said, there's a couple of holes in the story and a few things like that, but I think overall he's done a very, very good job for a first time out. So you got to give this guy, what's his name again? Nathaniel Martello White. I think he's done a good job for a first time up.
For a first time, he's ticked the right boxes in this movie.
I think so. Now, I cannot give him 10 out of 10. I think the characters were believable, but there wasn't enough backstories in it. So I'm going to 8.5 maybe, because the backstories could have been developed. I mean, why were the older children from the previous relationship so bitter? They could have developed that. Why were they maltreated or something rather, sexually abused? There's just nothing in it. Why did they hate her, and how did they find her?
Yeah.
I mean, she changed her name, for crying out loud. Didn't leave a trail of breadcrumbs.
Well, I remember in one scene, I think it was Carl. He got a phone call from someone, I don't know whom, who kind of, I guess, knew their mother's address, a new address with Ian, and that's where they were able to work out exactly where she lived at.
Yeah, that's the whole point. How would they find out if you changed the name and left her past behind?
There might be a third party who may be aware of the fact what their mother did, and he may be an informer. Like maybe he was a detective, maybe not a detective, maybe just someone who just knew her and. Or
that's what I'm saying.
Who was able to track where she may have gone to, and was able to using old photos and was able to find her social media, whatever. And
that could be. That's what I'm saying. If they showed up on something on Facebook or something or other, or TikTok or something. I have found her. Yeah,
aside from hair and stuff, facial characteristics didn't change much, unless she did plastic surgery, but she didn't.
No, I don't believe so.
She only used a lot of makeup to make her skin a little bit lighter.
To make herself look more
lighter,
less South African, and made herself look maybe made her skin a bit paler. I don't know, but
I agree.
Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't. But that's why I'm going to grade it down a little bit. Yeah, but apart from that, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, especially the Alfred Hitchcock approach, where
right at the end.
Right at the end.
Here's a twist. See you later. Bye.
Where
the end.
Yeah, where we don't see what becomes of her. We just assume she just ran off once again without having to show her actually getting onto a motorcycle and bolting.
Just heard it. No breaking outside the door.
Just leaving you the impression that she just up and left again.
Yep, with the Uber Eats guy.
With leaving us wondering, will we look at a sequel, or will this movie just be just a standalone movie?
Will the two older kids from the previous marriage and two newer kids from the current marriage band together and go chasing her like vigilantes? Who knows? What's this space?
Yeah, well, at this point, seeing as she's already run to a small town, where else is she going to run to this time?
Another small town, or a big town.
Or maybe even America.
Or
if she has enough money.
I can't get England's already in there. Because China's good.
She will probably have a difficult time trying to change her identity this time again.
Well, go to Africa to blend in. No,
I don't think so. By the sounds of it, I think she's very bigot about it. She doesn't even like the culture, and her children know it and all that stuff. So she's actually, like what Mike said to me, that she wants to be a white person.
She wants to have all the privileges of being accepted in a white community.
Yeah.
And she feels like if she acknowledged her African heritage, they would still discriminate against her, and she wouldn't have anything. So here we go again.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10 myself.
That's not bad, yeah.
Because I did like the mystery, even though there were gaps. But other than that, I like the fact that how she goes from just out of work person to a privileged status, classic social type woman.
Yeah, had everything. Everything, classic social status, and had a good job, deputy headmistress. That doesn't come overnight.
Yeah.
He worked really hard for that.
Yeah.
But there's no
social climber, person.
But anyway. So
there's
a few gaps in the story, but if you can get around those gaps of story, it's not a bad watch.
Yeah, I agree.
So like I said, at this point in time, you cannot get it on eBay or Amazon. There's not even a mention of pre-ordering anything. Yeah. However, it was released on Netflix. It's probably still there, but it's only being reasonably new.
Yeah.
So he had released in February sometime. What was the date? End of February. So it hasn't been that long. So
yeah. If you guys look up the movie and you accidentally pressed if you're looking for it, just remember to call it The Strays.
The Strays. THE Strays 2023. The other one isn't out yet, so you wouldn't have any problems. So if you wait till after June, sometime or other.
By the time those movies come out, you'll probably find it very confusing. So don't get confused.
It'll have pictures and names about who went on Netflix.
Yeah.
The name of the director is, that sort of stuff. So, just go by.
Just remember the first actress or the few actors.
Her name is Ashley Madekwe. Madekwe. Yeah.
And note the director who directs it, obviously.
Nathaniel Bugler. And then Nathaniel Martello White.
Yeah, remember his name when you look up this movie, guys.
So there you go then. But no, good movie to watch. It kept me guessing. I was wondering whether she's mentally deranged or being stalked or something or other. Yeah. Until things start to come together. Aha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for a while I thought that she was naturally either it was going to be she's all this stuff is going on in her mind.
Yeah, I thought she was delusional. Anyway.
Or that she is being stalked and she's the innocent party being stalked by possible ruffians who may owe her, she may owe money towards, maybe something like that.
Yeah, they're going to be kidnapping attempt because she's rich, maybe.
Or,
who knows? Yeah.
Or that she's, anyway, this is an interesting twist on the story where it's actually her children are trying to get even with her, stuff like that. I thought it was a good twist.
Yeah, kiddies, horrible children.
If Alfred Hitchcock really did do a movie like this, I think he would like it if he was alive.
It had that sort of feel to it, meandering through there, but it's a suspense thriller, building up, and a sudden cut off at the end with the twist.
Yeah, if he actually did a movie like this, I don't think he would be able to...
oh, Lord, here we go.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I do think it is up there with a lot of mystery and thriller stuff.
I think it's more of a suspense thriller than a horror.
Yeah.
But we reviewed it because it's said to be a horror. So you guys have a look and you tell us what you think.
Yes. So
I think it's a suspense thriller myself.
Yes. So okay, that's about it for us. We don't have too many facts about this movie.
No, we can't talk about it.
So we can't give you reception or the budget or any of the other stuff, as we mentioned.
They have a cat,
and as you said, you can. Mike, you be sure to check it out on. Where did you say that it's on
Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah. So check it out on Netflix, and if it's still there, which
it probably will be. If it's getting good. What do you call it?
Good reviews.
Good reviews when people click on it, whatever.
Clicks.
Love getting a lot of clicks. People are watching it. They're also making money for Netflix. So they'll keep it on. And people who actually own the movie got to pay a licensing fee. They might say, bung it on for 6 months. Yeah, you got plenty of time to watch it.
Yeah. So anyway, limited time, usual stuff. You might as well go watch it the moment this review's done.
But your critique coming back to us is welcome.
All right. Okay, so that's about it for us, guys. Thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. And this is Sarah Stephenson.
And Marvel.
Saying see you around on Boys and Ghouls. Bye for now.
Bye.